Good morning, Superkickin with Stephen and Greg fans. Your favorite host right here, Stephen A. 1181, the Greg one over there. Ready to talk up WWE Backlash live from Puerto Rico. Not quite outside the United States since it's a territory, as many people have pointed out. But hey, it is what it is. So we will recap the draft as well. We've got some nice graphics for that. Kind of look at who's on Raw, who's on SmackDown, who is a free agent, which I'm sure we will have thoughts on because to me, that will just be I don't know what the hell to do with these guys, and that's why they're free agents. But I'll get more into that as we get into it. What else? So next week, we'll get caught up on AEW. We'll also get caught up on the WWE World Heavyweight title, as they're calling it now, since we'll have some matches leading into that. Night of Champions will crown a new champion for that end. Which will be exclusive to Raw after the fact. We are having SmackDown people involved in it as well, which, of course, we can get into why is that happening when we just had a draft. But anyways, a lot of talk before we get started. But, Greg, how are you doing? Your Suns picked up a win last night, and they're back in it, down 2-1, correct?
Yes, sir. Back in the game, man. And we needed it. You know, it went the way you thought it would go. You know, Denver, number one seed, came out, did their business at home, went up 2-0, and now it's the Suns' time to come out and take care of business at home for this game. One down, one to go before they go back to Denver, and we can still take control of this series. So, you know, looked good last night. Paul and Booker and KD went off. Booker ended up with 47. KD ended up with 39. They killed them pretty much that two-man show. So they're going to need to keep bringing it like that if they're going to survive this series. This is whoever wins this is going to the Western Conference Finals. That's what I believe, because Golden State and the Lakers is going to be fun to watch, but that's not going to give you your Western Conference representative. It's going to be this series right here. So, you know, fingers crossed. But
is Chris Paul out? Did I see him in
yeah,
close?
Yep, you did. He hurt his groin in game 2, so now he's ruled out for game 3, 4, and 5, and 6 is doubtful too. So we may have seen the last of Chris Paul in this series. If in a Suns uniform, period. He's 38 years old, and that wear and tear is catching up with him, especially when it gets to the playoffs. So, you know, maybe that time to, you know, transition to, you know, a younger point guard. May not be as experienced, but, you know, we can't have these breakdowns happening in the middle of a championship run.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like Devin Booker keeps killing it in the 40-point games in the playoffs. I know I think he's the record holder in that, so I'm sure he'll just keep adding on to that. So, what else? So pretty much on my end, nothing really sports-wise. We have the Colts did rookie workouts yesterday, so we got to see our first look at Anthony Richardson. But it's rookies and it's rookies throwing to rookies, so not much to say there. I think it's going to be all about training camp and seeing what he does there and throwing him to the fire. You know, I'll be very interested when Colts season rolls around how quickly he actually gets put in, because it feels like he's almost got to be put in there, you know, to really get the experience, obviously. But kind of see what they got. So, but let's talk about we got the other end of the draft. We have the WWE draft. So got a nice little graphic here of all the current superstars for Raw. And, you know, Greg, I think the name, you know, of course, that we have to look at first is Drew McIntyre. And now I'm reading that he's kind of, if he does come back around, he's going to treat it as his last run with WWE. And, man, like I said, you know, if AEW can get him for that, you know, all-in show, which has already put up, I think 60-some thousand tickets sold without announcing a match. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But if you can get Drew McIntyre on there, which I would think probably won't work out with the timing, I feel like he'd have to be cut. You know, he'd have to be let go like now for the 90 days to fall. So, but I hope he doesn't leave. I understand his, the money aspect is the money aspect, Greg, but I can see his, booking because we've talked about the booking. He probably should have won in Cardiff with all the homecoming. And then he's just kind of been, he's just kind of been just doing whatever they ask him to do, kind of like the Seth Rollins, you know, idea. So um, hopefully he can come around. Uh, I guess I would like to see him AEW just to see what he could do over there, Greg, just like anybody, going back and forth. But I really want him to stick around. But he's the name that I'm very curious to see, will he show up on Monday night? Because that's when the rosters take effect. Or are we going to see it, after Night of Champions, maybe when things get cleared up? But who's the name, Greg, that maybe you're thinking like you're really interested to see kind of what they can do on the Raw side of things?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with on Drew because I was hoping that his contract situation is going to expire. Not because I don't love Drew. I've been a fan of Drew McIntyre for a long time, going all the way back to TNA days.
Yeah.
When TNA was still a hot property, and he was killing it back then. But he seems to have kind of run his course and hit that time where it's time to leave and rejuvenate yourself, rebrand yourself, and cash yourself as more of a pro wrestler. Use the AEW terminology,
Yeah.
and get away from being a sports entertainer and show the world, how awesome you really are. And Drew is, he was pandemic era MVP, but they really haven't made good on that yet with him. So when's going to be his time? And with the way things are looking right now, with Roman doing his thing and have had his chance and lost, and then the new title being presented, if this isn't to make good, then what is? So I'm curious to see how it goes. And if it doesn't turn out his way, I would love to see him in AEW. Like we mentioned last week, as a member of the Blackpool Combat Club, or bring that role back in TNA where he was the killer.
Just himself. Yeah, just by himself.
Right. There's nothing wrong with being a big fish in a small pond, especially, TNA is definitely a small pond, but it's got eyes, it's got hardcore fans, it's got the name recognition. So I wouldn't mind him going back there and, resetting himself and, coming back to a bigger promotion, bigger, stronger, faster. So he is definitely one. I'm very eager to see what they're going to do with. I think it was Cameron Grimes got drafted to Raw.
SmackDown, because remember he was
no SmackDown. Okay,
him and Baron Corbin had a little run in last night. So
that's right.
Baron Corbin is a free agent. So, but I remember we talked about it. I thought the pairing of Baron Corbin and him, when you had Baron Corbin doing the Happy Corbin, making it rich, and Cameron Grimes. Remember we kind of talked up a little bit of that. So interesting that they're listening to us, Greg, and giving him a feud. Freshly shaved. I think he's been cutting some weight too. He looked pretty.
Lean.
Yeah, there was a picture of him shown recently at his render, and shaved off all the beard. Has this like kind of a nice clean, almost like you're probably a little bit thinner than your kind of beardish. So he'll be on. I was going to say Zoe Stark, Greg. I'm very curious to see how the Raw main event or main roster, how they will react to her, because she's grown a little bit, but I just don't know if she's still ready for the main roster.
Right. I think it's sealed to look at the who they picked off the air. So I'm curious to see what everybody they picked off the air and how the roster's
like
still out.
One, Candace, Kaden Carter, and Casey. Katana Chance are they're on Raw. That's another group. We'll kind of see how they do. Are they going to finally do something with Chelsea Green? I mean, she's been, there's something there. So obviously do more with her. Judgment Day all together there, Greg. That's probably something to keep an eye on, right?
Yep.
Bronson Reed.
Exactly. He's one of the biggest names we're looking forward to because, like I said, they've added so much to him. He's been a beast in the ring, and they've given him a cool persona outside the ring. So, that's what you need. And then last thing, you need to be able to get on the mic and hold your own. But even if it's just sitting back and cutting backstage promos, that's a start. That's the way to get us invested. So I'm excited for what they can do with him because I love that guy.
Here's the SmackDown things. It's just kind of names listed, but SmackDown is, got a lot of. They have some NXT flavor as well. Pretty Deadly. Hopefully that's big enough for you, Greg. Sorry, you can always make your screen full screen. Make it a little bit bigger on your end as we're. Does that help a little bit? AJ Styles back on SmackDown. Kind of his brand that started him. I know you're all about LA Knight. I think Grayson Waller. I think that's the name that I really want to see, Greg. How does he show up? Especially if you get him and LA Knight mixing it up on the mic.
Exactly.
But I think I want to see Pretty Deadly. I really want to see how they'll be. Will they be treated as a comedy act, or will they be, and then almost like New Day, and then get some good matches? Like their booking, Greg, I think is going to be very interesting to see how Pretty Deadly is presented. So, Cameron Grimes is another guy. Are they going to book him? I thought they booked him pretty legit last night. Talking it up with Baron Corbin, saying, "Hey, I'm here. I'm ready to do my thing," and making him kind of change the look up a little bit, cut some weight. So that's a name. Alba Fire and Ela Dawn. There's another tag team. They have the NXT championships with them. So that should be interesting. Like we said before, Greg, I think we got to work towards unifying the women's tag team titles. I mean, we've already kind of done it with the men's titles. So why not just give us one set of tag team titles for the men, for the women? But and Solo, that's the name to watch. He got to even do some speaking time last night, Greg. So I think we're really going to see Solo after probably Night of Champions, after this weekend, really start to pick up steam. So how about your own take on some names that you're kind of throwing out there as, okay, let's keep an eye on these guys and girls for SmackDown side of things?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on Solo for sure. I mean, it's the same thing with Bronson Reed. They brought him out. He looks like a beast. He looks amazing in the ring. His matches are bangers. He's had no duds yet. And, the only thing left is what can he do on the stick. And we saw a little bit of it in NXT, but now we get to see what he can do on the main roster. And, he only says a few words at a time if he says anything at all. So I want to see him actually cut a real promo on somebody and watch him go. I love that LA Knight and Grayson Waller are on the same side of the ladder because they had a rivalry down at NXT during the $1 million championship era with Ted DiBiase down there trying to mentor DiBiase. And I think that was Waller he was having a little rivalry with over the $1 million championship.
Oh, that was LA Knight and Cameron Grimes.
Oh, it's Cameron Grimes. Okay.
Yeah. Grayson Waller at the time, I think he was doing this stuff with AJ a little bit during that time, which I thought we would call him up sooner. So, but yeah, I thought did LA Knight win it? I thought he won he
did. Yeah, because when they did the interview with LA Knight, he still had that $1 million championship.
Yeah, and then Cameron Grimes won it in the end. I thought.
Yeah, and those two are made for each other as far as the verbal jousting that's going on with those two would be amazing. But I love seeing Waller on the SmackDown brand. LA Knight, I love that he got drafted. Yeah. It means they have plans for him, and he's not going to be a member of the job squad. He's going to stack some wins and compete for titles. So I'm all about that. Plus, my girl Asuka. What are we going to do with Asuka?
Yeah.
Hashtag justice for Asuka. We got to get it happening. We got to represent and get our girl back to NXT Asuka. Asuka's gonna kill you, Asuka.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that she got drafted high on night 2, and hopefully they have big plans for her. So that's still going.
How about the
She said,
LWO too? Like, LWO right now is getting all the love in Puerto Rico, obviously, Greg. But
absolutely.
once you get Bad Bunny out of the picture, can Rey Mysterio, carry this team and build them up? We've seen what Escobar can do down in NXT. We haven't seen it quite as much. We're starting to see little flares with him and Joaquin Wild and Raul. Now I got to look
Yeah.
for Cruz. Yeah. And then Zelina. Zelina's getting a big opportunity tonight, Greg. I think this is a really good chance for her to show what she can do and, possibly be featured in bigger programs down the road. So I'd really, LWO, is this just a quickie, just because we are building, but, are we going to let this, have some legs to stand on afterwards? So.
Well, I was impressed. I watched the SmackDown this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and live from Puerto Rico, and how that crowd blew up for
Yeah.
the LWO. Of course, it makes sense. The Latino World Order in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to get a big
There's a
pop.
little hometown
But
love there, Greg.
right, but they were really, really into it, and they've been into it stateside too. So
Yeah.
I think it's more than just a one-off, just for the sake of this rivalry kind of thing. They can, give it some wheels and take it a while.
Yeah.
Um, it looks good. The time that we're in right now with representation being an
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
racially and things like that. It's a good time for revisit to the LWO just from that aspect. And the crowds have been eating it up, and I'm excited to see how far they can take it. Last night impressed me, of course. Like I said, it's in Puerto Rico, so it makes sense. But the whole crowd, these guys were rock stars. All of them were rock stars.
Yeah.
The
Nice
LWO,
old school setting too. Like there was no Titantron. They're just kind of coming out like old school entrance ramp. I think this is another location tonight, so I'll kind of see. I'm thinking they're going to give it the big fight feel, as they always say, Greg, tonight, because it looked like it was in some sort of Coliseum uh, setting. So that should be kind of fun to see what they do tonight as well. Should we
yeah,
look at some free agents as well? So these guys can go to any brand they want for whatever reason, Greg. But you look at some of the names, and it's obviously Brock Lesnar makes sense. I can get behind the almost factor just because of MVP. Maybe said, hey, but then we have like Ali, Ziggler, Baron Corbin, Von Wagner, um, Benjamin Alexander, Elias, and Zion Quinn. This is the we don't know where we want to put you, Greg, but we're going to get you called up, or we're going to get you somewhere eventually, maybe, possibly, but we still don't know what to do with you. So we're just going to ship you off to wherever we think. And it kind of sucks, like for a guy like Von Wagner, who I think sucks anyway. But I feel like you need to find a home for him, right? And Zion Quinn. These are guys that haven't been introduced to the main roster yet. Like
right.
Ziggler, okay, whatever. He's, I mean, whatever year this is for him, 12, 13. I mean, Elias, Benjamin Alexander until we figure out if we're going to do Hurt Business 2.0. But I do think the two NXT guys, it kind of hurt. It's going to hurt them because if they're just kind of featured on SmackDown maybe for a week or two, and then they go away, and then they show up on Raw, and then it is a very telling sign that yes, we want you on the main roster, but we don't know where we want you, and that kind of is a weird. I guess you got to make the most of your opportunities. That's what they're telling those two guys. And I've never been high on Von Wagner, Greg. I just think there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they have Robert Stone up with him at least to give him that aspect. But And Zion Quinn, he's just kind of been MIA. So I guess this is a fresh restart for him. But, the main roster might not really know him if you don't watch NXT. So what are some thoughts on your own, or some of your own thoughts on the free agent aspect of this draft, avenue?
Yeah, it's kind of an unimpressive list. The to be continued list. Of course, like I said, Brock Lesnar makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
He's probably the biggest money attraction next to Roman Reigns that they have. So to be able to put him on whatever program needs him the most makes 100% perfect sense. Everybody else is kind of unspectacular. Almost an MVP. You figure they're going to stick together, and the smart thing to do would be to recreate Hurt Business 2.0 and maybe throw in some more NXT flavor in there. Like we said, we'd love to see Trick and Mello, be the new leaders of the Hurt Business if we're not going to put Lashley back in the mix. So much potential for, greatness there. But you can use almost as a special attraction too, and just have them stand over somebody and give everybody an ooh moment. But almost as raw and green, and it's going to take a while to figure out where he fits in. So that makes sense. Like I said, Ali and Dolph Ziggler, Von Wagner, they fall into the who cares file. Somebody's paying them, so I guess you need to put them somewhere. And I had them as just the latest members of the Job Squad. I don't really know where they fit in anywhere, even in a faction.
It really feels like Ali is just on his way out. I mean,
yeah. So hopefully, half this list is going to be the cut list. So, because there's been a long time since we have any layoffs, any firings on the talent side, but
with the new merger too, you got to wonder if there will be some,
right
cuts. So, and Elias too. I think he's another guy, Greg. I think he's probably on the outs, right? I mean,
he has potential. He has a good look, and he has a gimmick that has worked in the past, but it's just not.
There was a lot of start and stop with him too, I thought.
Right, true. The injuries didn't help him.
Yeah. And just, when he was a heel, I think it was working well, but they just never, you could have maybe gone the Honky Talk route and tried to give him the IC title and just let him roll with it and see what happened. But and even Benjamin and Alexander, Greg, you got to wonder if they're on the, like you said, this does feel like hey, we'll give you a shot a month or two and then come, either you're writing out your contract or, you'll be future endeavored, because it is telling that we haven't had any cuts yet after this big merger or, big buyout. So very interesting to see what happens there. But so we'll kind of see after Monday and Friday, Greg, where guys are and girls are really starting to book, other than the, like we said, other than the random tournament we're doing for this, WWE World Heavyweight title. Hopefully people are sticking to their brands, Raw and SmackDown. But hey, it is WWE. They write the book, Greg. So if they want to move people, they move them. And they just come up with a term for it. Like they used Superstar Shakeup before. They use wild card type stuff. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But I think we need to do a quick break, and then we'll get right into our predictions for Backlash tonight, because I think it's going to be a really fun show. The crowd was hot last night, Greg, in Puerto Rico, so I imagine they're even going to be better tonight with a, probably a little bit bigger venue and just kind of emanating from just a different type of style location. So let's get some commercial breaks real quick and then get right into our predictions for tonight's show.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSPORTS1.com sent you.
All right, let's just get right into it. Backlash predictions. Our first match we want to bring up, Greg. Seth freaking Rollins, the 12-minute sing-a-thon in France, I think it was, happened. We'll see how much the Puerto Rican crowd sings with him tonight, Greg, versus Almost, the free agent. I am rolling all the way with Seth freaking Rollins right here. Got my Monday Night Rollins t-shirt, Greg. So I think this is all set because I think he is on his way to the finals of the World Heavyweight title. Like we said, it for all the work he's done the past, 2-3 years, he's definitely due a good title run with some theme. I know he had the U.S. title, I think it was, for a little bit, but now it's time to really give him, the main event slot that he's deserved. So I'm going with Rollins here. I think Almost puts up a good fight, but you're going to have Rollins selling the hell out of it, and Rollins picks up the win somehow with this. So which direction are you going, Greg?
Yeah, I agree that Almost is going to throw Seth Rollins around for about most of the first 5 minutes, and then Seth's going to, hack at the leg and, play the mind games, and, eventually it's going to end with a stomp, and he's going to go on the victory.
Might need a few curb stomps in here. I'm going to say over under 2 curb stomps, and I think I'll go 2 curb stomps, Greg. Maybe 3, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he might even kick out of the first one.
Yeah.
So
he'll need to do a couple more.
Just in that way, it kind of gives him a,
protected
that he is right. So he is a beast, and he can stand up. Most guys can't stand up to one stomp, and he took 2 or 3 to keep him down.
And Almost has got a pretty good sized neck, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How about this one? I did not realize, Greg, we are in the historic territory for Bianca Belair. She is, after tonight, if she holds onto the title, which I predict she will, she'll be the longest reigning women's champion of the modern era. Because nobody is going to touch Mae Young's 8.5-year run, Greg. Let's just face it. I think it was 8.5 years, or something ridiculous like that. So, props for Bianca. I mean, she's almost underappreciated, isn't she, in a way?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've been counting down Roman's reign since 400, 500 days. Yeah. And here's Bianca about to pass the record altogether, and they haven't said anything about her on commentary about that, her being that close to history. Yeah. So it just shows how overlooked and how uninspired this whole title reign has been since WrestleMania.
You going with Bianca for the win, I'm guessing?
Yep, no doubt.
Bianca all the way. This one, though, I think this one is a little bit tricky to, because are we're gonna start the Solo push now for Solo, or I think it's gonna be all about Riddle. I think he pins one of the Usos, Greg, and then then Roman Reigns is returning next Friday night, so we're gonna start seeing the bloodline fracture, Greg. But so I'm calling Riddle for the win here. Which direction are you going?
Yeah, I agree with you that Team KO, just to whittle it down, the good guys are going to win. But from what it's looking like, I could see an accidental Samoan spike landing on one of the Usos, accidental Samoan spike. Because that's what it looks like, that Solo is breaking away from the Usos. And it hasn't been anything overt, but there's been subtle clues, like the Usos Friday night coming out and trying to hype up Solo, and him not responding, and it's been that way for the
Well, look
last
at the
handful of
draft
weeks.
too. We had Roman and Solo drafted together, Greg, and then we had the Usos drafted separately from them. So,
Right.
but I think it's good. I kind of wish there was a extreme rules to this though, and let them just burn it down, as they say, Greg. But that there's going to be probably some leniency with the rules anyway, right? So I mean, we'll probably
Exactly.
see a pretty good fight in this anyway. So yeah, we're both going there. How about this one? Do you see a title change here?
This is tough. Just because you love Bronson Reed so much, but I love what Austin Theory's been doing, and the guy's he's cutting his own path. He's doing a great job ever since his character change,
Mm-hmm.
and he went full on heel. He's been amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Picked up the win over John Cena at WrestleMania.
right, and this is a tough one. I'm going to. I want to say Bronson Reed so bad, but
But then
I'm
you
going to
also
say that
consider Bronson Reed's on Raw and the IC title's already on Raw. So that's what's tough about this one.
right. So I think that you can set up that Reed and Lashley kill each other. He comes in to pick the bones and um, get a cheap pin. So I think that's how it's going to turn out.
And I think I think they might do Lashley and Reigns, just as a filler feud. So Lashley doesn't necessarily need to win the U.S. title right now. I'm going Theory, like you said. I think some sort of, I think he does pin. I think he gets the pin over Bronson Reed. Maybe a couple spears by Lashley, and Theory keeps rolling. On SmackDown and kind of see, maybe Cameron Grimes gets called up a little bit, to come after him next, or give another young guy the shot, as it were. But this is all Theory to pick up the win here. How about this one, Greg? You going with your boy?
Hey, you know what, man? Team Brock all the way,
This has to be
every
Brock.
day. Um, like I said, these two are printing money. I mean, Brock's a free agent, so this doesn't have to be the end of the rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to milk this for a few matches. I mean, they did it with Cody and Seth, and you got 3 bangers.
Yeah.
So there's no reason they can't do the same thing with Cody and Brock, especially with Brock being the beast that he is, the reputation that he has, and everybody knows. So
Cody got him with a good little hit on Monday night too. I think it almost knocked the tooth out. But I'm hearing, Greg, this could be a squash match for Brock. Do you think we need a squash match just to kind of really get this feud going? Because it feels like Cody's had the momentum, right? So
Right.
you almost need Cody to get, as they say, punched in the mouth and come up with a new plan. So I do think Brock wins in a 5 to 7 minute match.
Yep. Hey, Brock or Taker. They come out with the all black and the trench coat, the cowboy hat.
Brock Walker Ranger.
Bring out Brock or Taker, and I think that I would love to see this as a squash match because they did the swerve with us at WrestleMania with Cody, and now Cody coming out and hyping it up. If I can't beat Brock, finishing the story is dead, and kind of just overselling it. And now he goes out and he gets smoked, and now you really start from the bottom and have to go to the top. So that makes more sense than having him beat Brock Lesnar.
Right after that.
So I like that story better, where he has to, pick up his body parts and start over and, start to climb from the bottom. So
maybe make it like a wrestling style match at SummerSlam. I can see them. Maybe Cody goes start at the bottom, get back to Brock somehow. Yeah. So far, Greg, we're on the same page on everything, and I don't think it's going to change here.
Right.
I am very happy for Zelina, though. She doesn't always get the love, Greg, but she gets to wrestle in her hometown, They said her family's going to be there. Her dad passed away during 9/11, so he will not be there. But I believe they said stepfather and brother maybe. I think she's going to get a chance to show out. Rhea's going to sell the hell out of stuff at Zelina, and just the size differential. But this is all Rhea. Rhea's been the MVP of Judgment Day, Greg, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. In Judgment Day, we talked about it, man. Talk about the turnaround, kicking out Edge, and we weren't sure where they would go. And here they are. One of the top, not if they top faction, rolling. So Rhea wins here. But Zelina, I think, gets a good showing, and I think they'll use her, over the summer. I think she'll still be featured in some high stuff during the summer. And I want to see Rhea and Rey Mysterio go at it, Greg. Not going to lie. I really want Rhea to get that opportunity to do, an intergender match here and there. I think they really need to pursue that avenue. I mean, look how well it worked for China. Right. I think you have something with Rhea there. So I'm guessing you're going with Rhea as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the best Zelina Vega match we've ever seen in our lives, which isn't saying much, but given the stakes and the hometown factor, we're really going to get to see how good she is. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see that, because she's just been a sniveling heel character and hasn't really ever shown that much. So I'm going to see all the tricks in her bag. I'm pretty sure we're going to see it. So, we're going to get a good, 12 to 15 minute, hopefully, 4-star match, maybe even 5-star match. Mm-hmm. So looking at it totally open-minded and hoping to see Zelina show out as she should. But, I think Rhea's definitely going to get the win, maybe some cheating just to put over the fact that, I had to cheat to beat her, but, just kind of smile and crow about it later.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. Because I do think we'll see a lot of intermingling of talent here, Greg. I still have yet to listen to a Bad Bunny song on full, but maybe today, Greg, will be my day. I will celebrate Bad Bunny Day by, listening as I travel. I got a couple outings I'm going to tonight, and maybe make a run to Target. So I'll throw on some Bad Bunny, Greg, to get me in the mood. But this is all Bad Bunny to win. That's why I think Zelina, will get her. Bad Bunny has got the upper hand, Greg, but it's hard for me to. They're really touting him as the host of this, and like we said, this should be an event the night. So, but I do think Bad Bunny pulls out the win, and kind of see where Judgment Day goes after this. But I do think we'll see LWO involved. We'll see, the Judgment Day involved. Finn's not doing anything, Greg, so Finn can kind of get a couple good kendo shots in on somebody. Maybe a coup de grace off, the top rope somewhere. But this is all Bad Bunny for me, and let them, kind of tear it down and really, and like you said, maybe really see what Bad Bunny can do in a singles match. Because I know we had the tag match, and then he was in the Rumble. But he's not had a one-on-one match, if I remember right. So,
right.
And what better guy? You got Damian Priest too, Puerto Rican. So this is pretty cool for them to really represent, and like you brought up earlier, how much more representation, Greg, can we get the two hometown guys duking it out in their hometown? So I think that's pretty cool to see heading into, Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, where it's going to be just a whole nother different type of crowd. And then we'll be in London for Money in the Bank. So we won't be stateside here for a little bit for a big fight. So I'm going Bad Bunny, and like I said, shenanigans galore, but Bad Bunny ends up with the win.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a fantastic match. Just all the gags are going to come out, the gimmicks, the gang warfare. It's definitely going to happen. And I'm going to throw something out there. I get to see a surprise member of the LWO coming out here. And where better to do it
Yeah.
So, think about it. We had Conan inducting the Rey Mysterio at the Hall of Fame. We had there's so many Latino talents that we know of that we don't see on TV. I mean, look at AEW with we haven't seen Pride and Powerful for forever.
Yeah. Maybe one of those guys is on the outside.
Exactly.
We could see a new Judgment Day member too, because really they don't have the odds in their favor, right? I think it's LWO's got 5 members, and Judgment Day's got 4. So who's to say you don't have somebody out and even the odds for Judgment Day? Maybe Greg, but which direction are you going? Bad Bunny for the win?
Yeah, definitely Bad Bunny for the win.
Which is such a weird phrase to say.
Exactly, definitely. But they really played up the David versus Goliath angle, and the outsider, the entertainer, the most streaming Latino singer, blah blah blah.
Rocking WWF jacket last night. They did not edit it. He had the WWF. It had it all. It was some racing jacket he was rocking there, Greg. So.
Okay.
Yeah, how about that? They're letting him do whatever the hell he wants.
When you get that clout, you get to call your own shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it, and this would be a great place to introduce a new member or new members, to the faction, and add more heat to the rivalry, because this can continue with the LWO and Judgment Day.
Yep.
After this is over, Bunny's kind of an honorary member at this point, but we're not going to see him on every week. So I think that's going to be my prediction for tonight. Off the cuff, is that we're going to get a surprise member.
Mm-hmm.
Being the setting that we got, the type of match that we got, it'd be easy to do a surprise run in and have everybody wondering, okay, whose side is he on? Kind of deal. So Bunny wins, and we get some definitely some fireworks at the end, and go off TV celebrating with Bunny standing on the rope.
Them not singing Country Roads together like the end of Clash at the Castle, right, Greg?
Exactly. They definitely won't be singing Country Roads.
Maybe they'll sing whatever Bad Bunny, Takiti, I think is one of his big hits. So.
You know what? I still have never heard a Bad Bunny song, unless they played one in the little trailer.
I think the song is one of his for this pay-per-view, Greg. Now that I think about it, but then you have to do what I'm going to do. If you're out and about, Greg, just throw on your Spotify or whatever you got streaming service, and throw on a song of his, and we'll open our ears to a different side of things, right? We're both of the rock genre, so we don't usually listen to the pop side, but I think it's gonna be a fun. I think it's gonna be a good crowd, obviously, and I think it's gonna be a fun night. It's one of those it's almost like a house show with a little more, but that's fine, and that's fine because it's just a random Saturday May. You're not gonna watch a derby, so why not watch wrestling? Well, I guess the derby will be over by then, but. By the way, speaking of sports, Greg, can you believe the Kentucky Derby is still like a thing? I was kind of thinking in my mind, like, this is still a thing. Like, people still go all out for this. But,
yeah.
Especially when you consider what happens to some of the horses afterwards.
Right.
They bring the cart. Now, some horses, Greg, I don't know if you know, they actually get to do a little stud fee, as they call it.
Right.
They get to take care of things, as it were. So I was like, well,
hey, live the good life. Yeah.
By enjoying themselves. So hey, if you want to pay a fee for me to do that on a farm, I'll do that. But it does suck though. Some of these horses, they get as I say, taken out to pasture, and sometimes it happens it literally happens after the race, which is so. I'm not a PETA. I'm not like this furs bat, but Greg, I still got to think, man, that's just a bad way. Then when they pull out the curtain like a hospital, they just.
Right. The blue tent on the football field. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the blue tent on the football field, but at least sometimes they're still alive. These horses, yeah, they don't last much longer after that. So what a morbid way to end the show, Greg. But hey, go listen to Bad Bunny today, and we'll liven it up with some good pop Latino music. Hopefully, there's a translation available somewhere. So that was the thing too. Last night with Greg, with Rey Mysterio and Dominic talking, I was like, can we get some translating here?
Right. We did a caption. That was like a first ever, Spanish segment to open on
Yeah.
SmackDown. So
Almost felt like it was one of those TV dramas, which are all
Right.
Telemundo, where they're really over the top. If you ever if you want to go in a wormhole, Greg, type in TV drama, Hispanic TV dramas, and man, there is some overacting in some of those. But I've been in some weird YouTube holes, and I think I made that one once. Good weekend. When is the next matchup for your Suns? Is it tomorrow, or is there a day off?
Yeah,
Extra day
tomorrow
off?
for the Suns, and then they get a
To
good
travel.
2-3 days off until the next one.
Yeah.
And that goes back to Denver. So, shout out for my Suns. We're going to go and get this win tomorrow.
I'm guessing Warriors and
Lakers.
Lakers kick back off tonight.
Right.
Oh yeah, Sunday night, or 8:30. Oh, Lakers are up 3. Or no. Oh, that's the line. My fault. Sorry.
It's 1-1.
Sorry. It is 1-1. My fault. Sorry. I was like, wow, they're up 3-0. Did I miss something?
Yeah. Shout out to the Warriors. I don't want to see LeBron win anything else for the rest of his life. So, bullet for the Warriors, even though I think that would be a harder matchup for the Suns.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Celtics
Shout out
up
to
2-1.
Yep.
And then the Heat and Knicks are tied, so they must be playing tonight. Yeah.
Shout out to the Heat for knocking out Giannis in Milwaukee, the number 1 seed on the other side.
And knocked out their coach.
Exactly.
He got the can. Man. Why would you want to be a coach, Greg? These coaches, some coaches only, like we said, get a year. A year or two, if that. Sometimes not even the year, but Mike Buzenhold is, somebody's going to be chomping at the bit to get him, though.
You got Marty Schottenheimer, my former coach for the Chargers.
Yeah.
12-4 in the regular season, number 1 offense, number 1 defense that year. Went into the playoffs and lost in the first round, and they fired him. So it's like,
well, Dwayne Casey of the Raptors, he was coach of the year, and he got fired. I think either the season. I think he got fired in the offseason. So yeah, anymore, shoot, just make some money and own a team. You're not going to get fired unless you fire yourself. So
right.
We got the Heat and Knicks today at 3:30, and then we'll have the Warriors and Lakers tonight. So, and then it's Philadelphia and Boston tomorrow, and then your guys tomorrow. So you'll be on TNT. So I did not get to watch any Rampage, so I got to get caught up in that. I wanted to see the deletion match, Greg, because I was hearing that was full of fun shenanigans. Apparently, we got Orgasmic Isaiah.
Yeah.
I saw the clip of that, and I was like, "What in the world?" So yeah, I need to see the rest of this. So.
Yeah, it's worth the watch for sure.
It was on early, so I should have watched it because I think it was at 6:30. Was the special start time last night, Greg? Because we've had some random times for Rampage lately. So. And then, of course, we will have to talk up next week this idea that they're going to do a brand split, possibly where in AEW, if you have no issues with Punk, you could be on a show with him. But if you have issues with him, you will be on a show opposite. Oh man, we'll have some takes on that, Greg, because this is starting to get okay. This is where I'm going to say, Young Bucks and Omega, come on over. Well,
exactly.
Triple H, back up the truck.
All the money, give it to them. All the money.
You don't want to be EVPs anymore, right? That's just too much for you. Just be wrestlers again. So.
Right.
But they did have. But then you got to consider. Look what they did for the Wembley Stadium show. And I'm still hearing rumors what that. They haven't said on pay-per-view, Greg, So I'm wondering, because HBO Max will become Max pretty soon. So you wonder if that might be a deal with Warner Brothers and all that. So we got a lot to talk up in the next week about, where AEW's headed as far as that's concerned. So, but we will get you out here with a nice clean hour-ish of talk. Enjoy Backlash tonight. Enjoy the weekend. Any last thoughts for your end, Greg?
Absolutely. Big UFC going on tonight. And they lost a co-headlining event, but they added to it with two last-minute fights that actually made it better than the original card. So this can be worth watching tonight. Shout out to what I will always say is the best American rock band on the planet ever, Aerosmith, announcing their farewell tour this week, which bums me out because every time I see them, they're better than the last time. I've seen them 13 times.
Oh wow!
And
13.
I am bummed out that this is going to be their last run. So I'm going to try to make it to multiple shows. Shout out to Dan the Man Stevens. They're coming to Indianapolis. We should put a
Bad
tour.
signal.
That's right. We should do a company field trip to the Aerosmith show. Dan's got some stroke these days. Maybe he can get us in. So
I
shout out to the fearless leader.
I've never seen them, Greg. So I was mulling it over. I'll just say that.
You got to do it, man.
Yeah,
they are amazing live.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler is my guy. I mean, there aren't too many celebrities I'm still craving to meet in person, and he is one of them.
Yeah.
So
especially clean Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Heard some rumblings back in the day, Greg. He would do a show and not have any clue he just did a show. Like, can you imagine being that? I mean, I hate being, I hate throwing up. Like, I can't imagine being coked up out of my mind and just like not knowing, I just played a show. So, and to kill it, probably. He probably killed it. Like,
I'm sure.
So that's especially the 80s era of Aerosmith, like, late 70s, early 80s era, man. I mean, they had some big, big hits for them. So,
yeah, I've been watching him since the late 90s.
Yeah.
And going to Aerosmith concerts for that long, and they just blow the roof off the place. They sound better live than they do on record.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Everything you hear on Spotify, they're even better. Steven Tyler's voice holds up. So you got to do it. Like I said, they're coming to Indy. They're coming to your spot. So
I know. And
gotta
Baker's
do it.
Life
Gotta
is
see it.
our Gainsbridge Fieldhouse. There's not really a bad seat there, Greg. So, and they've made it better for shows, which is good. That first couple shows there was not that great, just because it's a basketball arena. It wasn't made for for rock concerts, so they did do some acoustic treatment there to help things sound better. So I'm really mulling it over. I think that would be a rock checklist. Mark that off the list.
Yep.
So because I am going to see Queen. I think that's my big show in October, Greg, with Adam Lambert. So that's going to be a fun show. So, but yeah, we'll have more time to talk about that as the summer goes on, and enjoy that and enjoy the rest of your day. So go watch the Kentucky Derby if you're into that thing, and go watch Backlash tonight live from Puerto Rico. So home of Bad Bunny, and go listen to some Bad Bunny today in honor of him. So as we kick off the show tonight. So all right, have a good one, and we'll talk to you guys next week.